You know the feeling when you're scrolling through endless listings, trying to find that one piece of gear that won't just sit on the shelf but actually moves the whole car audio experience forward? You want something reliable, something that blends into the daily drive without demanding a PhD in wiring, and you definitely want to feel like you got your money's worth. That hesitation dash, will this actually give me the bass I'm after without turning my car into a rattling tin can? Is what most buyers wrestle with before they click add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Alpine S2A55V S-Series 5-channel amp paired with the S2SB10V 10-inch Halo Preloaded, ported subwoofer enclosure promises exactly the sort of all-in-one solution many of us are looking for, a compact amp, a ready Togo sub, and the Alpine name that usually signals a decent level of engineering. It's not a list of 800 watts and exotic DSP chips, it's a practical package aimed at getting good bass out of a midsize sedan or a small SUV without the hassle of hunting down a separate amp and a sub-enclosure that might not match. So, who should actually consider this bundle? If you're a weekend road trip enthusiast who enjoys a solid thump when you pass a highway overpass, or if you're upgrading a modest factory system and need a straightforward step up, the Alpine S2 combo fits nicely. The 5-channel amp gives you the freedom to drive the front, rear, and a center speaker while still powering a dedicated sub. That means you can keep your speaker layout balanced without adding a second amplifier to the mix. The preloaded sub, being a 10-inch Halo model housed in a ported box, is tuned to deliver a punchy low-frequency response that feels more like a feel than just a rumble. For drivers who want that extra depth when a favorite track drops a bass line, you'll notice the difference almost immediately after the first few minutes of listening. Now, let's talk about the real-world strengths that become apparent once you have the kit in your garage. Installation is the first win. Alpine designed the S2A55V with a wiring harness that plugs directly into the sub's input, and the amp itself fits neatly in most standard underdash or trunk spaces. Even if you've never run a factory harness before, the clear labeling and the fact that the sub comes pre-wired to the amp eliminates the guesswork that typically turns a simple upgrade into a day-long project. The ported enclosure is also a practical advantage. Compared with sealed boxes, the port lets the 10-inch driver move more air with less power, which translates to louder, tighter bass without needing a massive power supply. In everyday driving, that means you can crank the music a little louder on a highway commute and still get a clean, controlled thump, rather than a sloppy boom that would drown out dialogue. From a value perspective, the bundle's rating 4.6 out of 5 stars from over 600 reviewers suggests that most owners are happy with the balance of performance and price. While we don't have individual review excerpts to quote, that aggregate score tells a story. The product delivers on its promises for the majority of its audience. The fact that Alpine includes both the amp and sub in one package also trims the total cost compared to buying each component separately, especially when you factor in the time saved on wiring and matching impedance. But it isn't a perfect fit for everyone, and that's where the hidden trade-offs surface. The 10-inch sub, while efficient, does have limits when it comes to filling larger cabin volumes. If you own a full-size SUV or a truck with a spacious rear cargo area, you might find the bass a bit less enveloping than what a 12-inch or larger enclosure could produce. Likewise, the amp's power rating, which is designed to drive the included sub comfortably, may feel modest if you're planning to push the sub to its maximum volume for competition-style shows. In those scenarios, the combination could start to sound strained, or you might need to add an external processor to fine-tune the output. For pure casual listeners, those constraints are usually invisible, but they're worth noting if you have big ambitions. Another practical consideration is the ported design itself. Ported enclosures excel at delivering higher output at a given power level, but they also have a sweet spot in frequency response. If you frequently listen to music with very deep sub-bass content, think EDM drops that dip below 40 Hz, you may notice that the ported box rolls off a bit sooner than a sealed box would. Some owners prefer that tighter, more musical low end, while others enjoy the sheer volume that a port can generate. It's a matter of taste, but it does shape the listening experience, especially in a car where cabin acoustics already mute the extremes. Let's walk through a typical day with this setup. You pull into the parking lot, turn the key, and the amp powers up automatically thanks to its simple wiring into the car's ignition line. You hit the radio, and